I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have a moment of silence, and I would ask you to keep in your thoughts Kathy Bauer and her mother, who is extremely ill at this time. Okay. Do we have a motion to accept or modify the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now is the time for community participation. It's a time intended for the public to give input on relevant school issues, and it is not intended to be a question and answer period, as this may be the first time the board has heard this information. Please do not expect individual responses or any comment by the board at this time, but be assured that any concerns will be reviewed. Please print your name on the sheet at the podium, state your name and address for the audience, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the board?
Sorry, I can't do two things at once.
That's okay.
I'm Kim Oakland, and I teach at Ressie Jeffries Elementary School. I am also president of the Warren County Education Association. And before I begin, I want to say a public thank you to Mr. Drescher for his continued support of all of Warren County's teachers and for his willingness to work with the Warren County Education Association. Mr. Drescher has always offered an open door and a listening ear. You all asked for feedback on the calendar. Mrs. Shepard sent an email to all staff asking for feedback, and I know that she received a number of questions and subsequently responded to those emails. With the request for teacher feedback in mind, WCEA conducted an online survey of its 206 members for their feedback on the proposed calendar. Not only did this survey allow respondents to express concerns anonymously, but it also provided the opportunity for individual comments. We had 95 respondents, which equates to a 47% response rate, and you all each have a copy of the, I left a copy up there for each of you of the survey analysis. I wanted to say that I owe Mr. Drescher and Ms. Shepard a public apology. In my efforts to allow as many respondents as possible, I did not close the survey until yesterday and prepared the analysis late last night. Mr. Drescher and Mrs. Shepard are seeing these results for the first time, as are you. Optimally, they should have had the results by the first of the week in case they wanted to make changes or consider alternatives. They have always proven willing to listen, and I'm sure it will be no different in this instance. You each have a copy of the survey results, and you are professionals and do not need me to translate these results, but I will share some of the pertinent conclusions. More than 80% of the respondents do not support the original draft of the calendar, the one that we received at the work session 2 weeks ago. The most often cited reasons were too many professional development days and the late end date for such an early start date. Something else to note is that 70% of respondents want to finish the first semester before winter break. While I could have summarized the comments, I felt it was important that you were able to see teachers' concerns and comments in their own words. I did try to highlight the comments that offered solutions along with concerns rather than just individual opinions. I encourage you to read all the comments when you're able, but I just wanted to explain the highlighting. Now let me share some information with you that is not in the survey, but certainly needs to be considered as part of your discussions on the calendar. Warren County Public School teachers are on a 200-day contract, as are most school districts in Virginia. It is interesting to note that teachers in Loudoun County, one of the highest paying districts in the country, are on a 190-day contract. Very few districts, including Warren County, schedule a full 200 days, as there is recognition that teachers consistently perform beyond the school day. More is now being required of all school personnel in hours, responsibility, and justification. None of the surrounding counties have as many professional development days as Warren County Public Schools. Number of days range from 10 to 13, but these other counties do utilize early release days, scheduled 2-hour delays, and flexible professional development days to meet their professional development needs. That is in addition to their 10 to 12 days that they have scheduled. Many of our younger teachers commute because affordable housing is limited in Warren County, but it is plentiful in some of the surrounding counties. You are already aware that our salary scale and benefits are outdistanced by surrounding school districts. A recent study using data by the Virginia Joint Legislative Audit Review Committee, more commonly known as JLARC, ranked the 132 school divisions throughout the Commonwealth by median teacher salary. When considering just the actual salaries, Warren County Public Schools ranked at 61, right in the middle. However, when those figures are adjusted for cost of living, Warren County Public Schools ranks 132 out of 132 school districts, last place. You'll hear more about that from me at a much later date, but in regard to the calendar, it is certainly something to consider. Perhaps in the future, a calendar committee could be established that would allow for input from the diverse constituencies affected by the calendar before its public presentation, with the realization that no one calendar is going to satisfy everyone. We won't make everyone happy. The ultimate consideration has to be what is best for students, and I'm confident that you all will work to achieve that goal. Thank you for your support, and a reminder that next week is American Education Week.
Would anyone else like to address the board?
Hi, I'm Dana Thomas, 835 North Shendel Avenue. Pardon my voice, it's the first thing to go. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. As you all are aware, at the last meeting, Carol Voris spoke about the deplorable conditions of Russie Jeffries Elementary School. Now I'd like to share my story. I have worked in the Warren County Public School System since 2000 as a SPED IA at Russie Jeffries. I'm proud to say that I am also a Russie alumni, and both of my children attended Russie. I love my coworkers and the kids that I work with every day. No 2 days are alike. However, the building itself, while it houses many fond memories, does not elicit the same emotions. Thus, my story begins. I worked in the self-contained ED room for the first 10 years, after which time I was moved to inclusion SPED classrooms. The year was 2010, and it was the start of my sickness. In October of that year, I started having severe migraines and coughing episodes. Now, I've had asthma for as long as I can remember, So the coughing was really nothing new, so I thought at the time. My doctor prescribed my normal cocktail of drugs, but this time they did not work. 6 months later, the coughing was so much worse, he sent me to a pulmonologist in Winchester, who then gave up 2 years later and sent me to UVA pulmonologist in Charlottesville. I have currently been a patient there for 2.5 years, and right now this is the best health-wise that I've been in the last 5 years. However, my best is still far below your normal. In 2014, I spent a total of 23 days in the hospital over a 4-month period. Diagnosis: asthma, allergy, virus, blood disease, mold in lungs. I repeat, mold in lungs. During one of my pulmonary consultations, I asked my doctor, if this were 50 years ago, where would I be right now? And he promptly replied, if it were 20 years ago, you'd be dead. Thank God for modern medicine. This modern medicine has included several bronchoscopies, lung washings, PICC lines, twice-a-day self-administered IVs, twice-a-day self-administered shots, biopsies, CT scans, x-rays, oxygen, breathing treatments, and the never-ending blood draws and breathing tests. I also still have ongoing appointments with a pulmonologist, infectious disease control, and oncologists to be proactive and catch any changes early. Modern medicine has also come at a high cost for me. Weight gain, no immune system, kidney stones, osteoporosis, light sensitivity, and broken bone due to coughing. Remember, 2010 was the year that I moved to the inclusion classrooms, one of which you guys saw the photos of when Ms. Forrest spoke. It was the same, if you remember the photo, it was the same room where the kids were working with the air purifiers running right beside them. The same room that the new carpet was put in after this school year started. The same room with all that mold. I do not want to be moved from Ressie Jeffries. However, I want Ressie Jeffries to be a safe and healthy environment for all students as well as staff. I believe with all my heart and soul that Ressie Jeffries Elementary School did make me sick. I need the board, you guys, to see me and all the health issues your number 6 on the priority list building is causing. Every time you hear Ressie Jeffries Elementary School, I want you to think of me. I'm just an expendable instructional assistant. But what is the board going to do when it is the parent of a sick child standing here before you? I know it can happen. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and like Carol, I'd like to leave you my Ressie Jeffries staff photo IDs over the past 15 years so you can see for yourself the changes. And again, thank you for your time.
Would anyone else like to address the board?
I don't think I signed this last time. My name's Carol Voris, 1319 Madison Avenue. I spoke last board meeting, and again, I appreciate the time and being able to express my views and my opinions. I appreciate the maintenance workers that have been at our school. They've replaced tiles, they've removed the duct tape. Most of it's cosmetic, it's on the surface, but the problems that we have at Ressie are still there. We just can't see them. Dr. Madison attended a budget meeting, and he shared with the staff some of the information, and it was over a period of the next few years that Ressie would be, as far as the tax, the half-cent tax increase, and then I think it was the leftover money from the middle school when that's completed. I guess in my past experience with 20-plus years at Russie Jeffries, I'm afraid. I'm afraid at what I'm hearing. We've been told, there's money earmarked for Russie. We're going to get leftover this and leftover that. You know, when we're finished with this, then Russie will, we'll start improvements or renovations there. And that never happens. Somehow, when we get to that point, a few years down the line, that money that was earmarked for us is gone. It's been used for something else. And that's what scares me. When the middle school's completed, are we still going to be a priority? Or right now, people are talking about Russie. People are interested. In 2 or 3 years, are they still going to be talking about us? Or are they still going to be interested? I don't know. I hope so. But that's what scares me. So I guess what I'm asking is for some assurance. I need somebody to tell me that we are going to be on the list, and this time not just on the list, but these needs and this building, it's going to be taken care of for the students and for the staff. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay, thank you all for your comments. We now have reports, staff reports, the instruction report. Sorry, see, this is why I never wanted to be chair. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So approved. Now reports, staff reports, instruction report. Mr. Hirsch?
Madam Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, I have the opportunity today to work with a couple other professionals to talk about the instruction report today, Ms. Carla Scott and Ms. Rudisil, Director Rudisil. I wanted to start the instructional report with a video presentation about some character education that we did like last week. And I do want to thank the Arc of Warren. I do want to thank Warren County Middle School PTSO and a couple donors, Kevin Neal, as well as the PTSO. And I do want to thank Allison Gillespie, who I promised I would, well, I didn't promise to thank, I promised to embarrass. She was integral in bringing the Same Sky project to Warren County, and she actually took a video and wanted to share that video with you, just as an example of the many things that we're doing to build character and do character education for all of our students. And this video was held at Warren County Middle School. The program was at Warren County Middle School, and we did bus all of the 8th graders in from Skyline and Warren. There were 2 shows, so the 6th graders went and we bussed the Warren County folks in, and then the 7th graders went and we bussed the Skyline folks in. So with no further ado, if Ms. Scott will turn that on.
I felt the pain, exhausted from the war being fought inside my brain.
I'm a scientist, I'm a movie star, I'm a mermaid swimming in the sea. I'm a dreamer who has a wish to be someone who is seen completely. It tells me I have to do something over and over again. Turn off the lights, wash my hands, count the tiles on the ceiling over and over again.
The words didn't come out. The words didn't come out. Faces in front of me of those I love, they look down at me from up above, speaking inside my head, stuck in a hospital bed. No matter how hard I tried, the words didn't come out. The words didn't come out.
I am here alive, singing inside my head. Go ahead and try to stop me. There will be a day when I will sing to you and say thank you. Thank you.
But the words didn't come out. The words didn't come.
He had a huge tube down his throat that damaged his vocal cords and left him without a voice.
I'm smart and I have the same thoughts as you, but instead of speaking them, I type them out in my iPad speaks for me.
There is so much more to him than the fact that he can't speak every word he's thinking. I don't have to talk slowly or change my tone of voice like I'm speaking to a child. He understands everything I'm saying.
Thanks for being my friend, Megan.
Thanks for being my friend, John.
You guys ever wonder if dirt has feelings? I try to listen when others speak and focus on what I'm supposed to do. I'm told to go and clean my room, so I go and take a shower. It's been hard to explain how my mind works. It's complex, it's unique. Sometimes it goes berserk, but I've found some things that help me be someone and not my ADD.
Can live a life that's full while trying to give back to someone else's soul. No matter if you think or look different than the rest, or if each day that you survive feels something like a test.
The test you must prepare. Remember there's one thing we all share. No matter who you are or what it takes to thrive, we all live under the same sky. No matter what your challenge.
The only thing more impressive than the group was our kids. The questions that they answered were unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was a great time. Anyway, with no further ado.
Mike, I just want to say one thing. Last month was Bullying Prevention Month. And as we were talking about that last month, much of what that deals with is character ed. It's about helping all of us learn how to get along and understand each other. And this Same Sky project kind of came at the perfect time. Is amazing. And what Michael was saying about putting 600 kids in an auditorium and having students and young adults that had, and I'm going to say some of them, I don't know what they all were, autism, Down syndrome, OCD, ODD, traumatic brain injury, ADD. Those were the actors that we saw. The students were mesmerized, and they got it. They got the message, which was so neat. So it just it worked out for us. It's something that I think we want to bring back. Thank you, Allison, for bringing that. But it was a good opportunity for us to show literally the entire cross-section of our schools, because middle school and the high school, 6 through 8, got to see that, and got to see that we are under the same sky. So that was very, very neat. Very, very cool. So, thanks.
And I'll introduce Carla Scott and Lisa Rudisil for the remainder of the instructional report.
Good evening. That's a pretty tough act to follow. I can assure you that what we're going to talk about this evening as the second part of the instruction report falls right in line with the Same Sky assembly that our students were able to attend. What we are going to speak about this evening, Ms. Carla Scott, who is our instructional specialist for special education, has been working very hard with the general education teachers and our special education teachers to really boost the quality of instruction that all of our students are getting in their classrooms, but particularly our students with disabilities. Our students with disabilities, as it is across the nation, are held to the same high academic standards that the rest of our students are held to. So Carla is going to speak to some of our efforts, professional development-wise, and other ways that how we're helping our teachers help those students. You can
Okay. Warren County has always had an inclusive model for special education, which means for some time now our special needs students have been in the regular ed classrooms. So we have an inclusive model, and in that inclusive model we do collaborative instruction. So we have a general ed teacher and a special ed teacher in the same classroom combining efforts to serve the students in those classrooms. So just a few statistics to get you where we are in the county. We have 671 students with disabilities. Only 1% of those students meet the criteria for an alternative SOL test, which we call a VAP, or a Virginia Alternative Assessment Program. The other 99% are held to the same standards as the rest of the student body. So before I show you the current data, just like all the other students in the county, with the higher rigor of the test in math and reading, we're all regrouping to meet the rigor of the test, and so our efforts in the collaborative classrooms have really amplified due to that rigor. But we're going to do this. We are going to do this. Here's our current data in English. The AMO is 54%, which means 54% of our students with disabilities should be passing the English SOL test. And so there's the data for English for this past year. The Warren County Middle School is in what's called safe harbor because they had a 10%, they reduced the failure rate rather by 10%. That's really one of the goals we're looking at to begin with, is so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. If we can reduce the failure rate by 10%, that's a good start. So there's English. This is math. The AMO is 57%, so 57% of our students with disabilities should be passing our SOL test in math. And again, Warren County Middle School had 10% reduction in the failure rate, so they were in what's called safe harbor. There's another measure called the gap data. This is the difference between the SOL pass rate for all students, which is for reading 77.6, and for students with disabilities 40.3. So our gap in reading between all students and students with disabilities is at 37.3, and then it's broken down by school as well. Our goal in Warren County is 20, and we've had 2 schools so far in the past who have actually gotten below that and had the gap at like 17. So we know that's possible. And this is the same data from math. So the motto for this year for our leadership team is Bridging the Gap. And so a lot of initiatives happening in the county to work very closely in our collaborative classrooms and with our general education teachers as well as our special education teachers. Since the spring of 2014, fall of 2014, and again spring of 2015, the IRT and some other members of special services have been conducting walkthrough observations with a checklist of indicators that we feel are necessary for good instruction in our collaborative classrooms. So we've had 3 rounds of walkthrough data, and that data provided us some information as far as what we really need to focus on in our collaborative classrooms. And these are the things we have decided are the things we need to focus on. Core instruction, meaning that before we can really collaborate and work together to serve our special needs students, we have to be certain that the core instruction provides the rigor of the standards and is aligned to the standards and is incorporating research-based best practices. So that's our first priority in our collaborative classrooms, is to make sure that core instruction is tight. If that's not present, the efforts of special support isn't going to make things happen. So it starts with the good core instruction. We also are working to provide more differentiation, and that's done best with small group instruction. And that's exciting because if you have 2 licensed teachers in the classroom, you can individualize the instruction, you can differentiate the instruction, not only for our students with special needs, but also for our higher achievers who rarely get the opportunity to accelerate their learning. So both ends get served in this way when we use our small group instruction, and we can differentiate and we can drill down to the needs of each individual student. And we found that engagement was a little bit of a weak area. That volley between teacher and student is a little weak. Our active student responding to curriculum-based questions so that every student is responding to questions throughout the instruction. So right now, we're also conducting more walkthroughs this fall, and Mr. Drescher has a copy of the walkthrough checklist that we're using this year. So that'll be conducted in the fall and then again in the spring, and we'll continue to do these things to provide support for our collaborative teachers. Collaborative planning was one of the biggest concerns for gen ed teachers and special ed teachers, is that face-to-face planning time is at a premium. We're all busy, and so to help with that, this year we're using an internet-based plan book called planbook.com, so that the general ed teachers and the special ed teachers can access that in real time. So if you want to plan together, you don't have to be in the same room, you don't have to be face to face, but you can collaboratively plan using an internet-based plan book such as planbook.com. So we're hoping that's going to increase the time teachers have to plan together the instruction. So far this year, we've had some professional development for our general ed and special ed partnerships. We decided that to just give professional development to special ed teachers isn't enough. We need the partners together in the room so that we're all on the same page and we're all hearing the same things. And we started with expectations for core instruction and how we can incorporate collaborative models, small group models in those classrooms, and we'll continue to work at that. It was a short, just a 3-hour training, but it was really just to set the expectation for what we're really wanting to see prior to doing walkthroughs this year. We're also going to provide ongoing coaching, and we're encouraging teachers to use the checklist to observe each other and do the checklist in each other's classrooms, so some peer observations. Gina Cornett is working with the autism program and the ASIC grant. Those evidence-based practices are being incorporated too in the collaborative classrooms because our students with autism are a part of those classrooms. And we're petitioning schools and partnerships to let us know how we can meet their individual needs in their schools or their individual teaching teams. So if they let Lisa or I know about, we need professional development on engagement, or we would like to have professional, we're going to individualize and really tailor the professional development to what they ask us for. And that's all.
I have a few. Surprise, surprise. When you were talking about the walkthroughs, you said the IRT, singular. Is it just you doing the walkthrough, or do we have other IRTs or other people doing the walkthroughs with you or separately?
They're all the members of IRT, the Instructional Resource Team. And of course, Deb Drescher tends to like to go look at the reading, and Justin Maffei tends to like to look at the math, which is awesome. Right. So we can get good feedback from them. Lisa and Alan are doing walkthroughs as well, and Denise Walton, Dina Lee, Colin Miller, Special Services team. So yeah, we have a nice
quite a large
cross section.
Good.
Right.
On average, because you talk about planning, with a partner is always tough. The schedule usually doesn't allow that. On average, special ed teachers who are involved in inclusion classes, are they working with one teacher or multiple teachers?
I would say that the majority are working with multiple teachers.
That's tough for planning.
And some multiple contents or multiple grade
levels. Oh, man.
So
yeah.
But we're also looking at master schedules. We are looking at a lot of different. In fact, I just met with a school to look at the master schedule to see if there are changes that could be made to ease some of that, since we're it's all kind of coming together with the big picture.
Right. And my last question, how comfortable are teachers with peer observations?
I don't know that any have been done so far.
Okay.
That's just something we suggested.
Okay.
I don't know that they're doing those things just yet, but we'll continue to encourage them to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have an update on Ressie Jeffries Elementary School Facilities Plan. Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. On Wednesday, October 28th, the building committee met to discuss renovations at Ressie Jeffries Elementary School. At this meeting, the members discussed two potential projects for Ressie Jeffries. The first project is the energy savings project, which will include new lighting, exterior door replacement, gymnasium air conditioning, and HVAC installation in sections 1, 2, and 3. The HVAC has been divided into 3 sections because the majority of the work will occur over 2 summers. This project is funded through the utility savings from making our schools more efficient, and then also $2.4 million was funded by the middle school bond, the sale of the Water Street property, and the 2.5-cent tax increase. We have been working with Amoresco for more than 2 years on this project. Amoresco is our selected energy savings partner, and is currently completing their detailed energy audit. After the completion of the audit, our attorney will develop a contract to be presented at the December 10th school board meeting. The second part of the project was replacing the roof at Ressie Jeffries with a pitched roof and the construction of a new entrance to include a vestibule and 2 offices to improve the safety of the school. The pitched roof will have a 60-year warranty. The approximate cost of this project is $2.5 to $3 million to design and construct. The building committee recommended including this on the work session for the Board of Supervisors, which met on Wednesday, November the 4th. At the Board of Supervisors work session, the same information was presented to the Board of Supervisors, and Doug Stanley, the county administrator, was able to discuss possible funding sources for the roof and the new front entrance. The Board of Supervisors gave us permission to start working with Mosley Architects to design the roof and the front entrance. Mosley is going to give us a cost for the design work. At the December Board of Supervisors meeting, the request will be made to contract with Mosley for the design work. We are hopeful the design will be completed mid-February, which will potentially allow us to replace parts of the roof this coming summer. We are working with Pannoni on a cost estimate to add 50 to 60 additional parking spaces at Ressie Jeffries. We have an idea of where we would like to add the parking spaces, and we'll be meeting with Pannoni on Wednesday to start the discussion on the design and the cost. Any questions?
I guess a comment I would make is that it's moving, it's happening. I think what you'll see is next month the board will be taking action on a contract, so that will occur. It's you mentioned, Melody, an 18-month process once it gets started, so that this spring into this summer through next year and through next summer. So we should be seeing action happening, and if all the financing comes together as planned, and there's no reason at this point to think that it won't, but I always have to say that as planned, we will be able to complete the entire project. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And I will say this has been a 2.5-year planning piece. I didn't do it all myself. I guess I was just going to say that. No, it's been a 2.5-year planning piece, and a big chunk of this is we could not make these decisions until we knew the final price of the middle school. That had to occur first. Wish it didn't have to, but that was the reality. So that's a little bit of an unknown. The dirt work is going great. I think we're going to be in good shape there. The county, Doug Stanley and the Board of Supervisors are supporting this 100%. I will give them big kudos here. They're taking a look at how they can make this happen with current funding levels. So they're making some changes in how they do their budget piece. So it is something that's happening. So that's good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Got a couple of things this evening. One is it's that time of year, I guess, where the Virginia School Boards Association does awards of recognition to the school board members who have completed the necessary participation in professional development. And Mr. Williams, you came in too late last year. I'm sorry. You'll get yours next year. So, but Mr. Rosen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Refko, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Wells, congratulations.
School Academy. Don't get any better than that.
Mrs. Bowers got one also, but she's not with us this evening. Just two other things. I did do a teacher observation today, and it was with somebody that has an obvious passion for literature and poetry in particular. I will say, in just part of a class period, I learned more about analyzing postmodern poetry than in the sum total of all my literature throughout my educational career. Wow. So I would like to thank Mrs. Sharevko. It was a very, very good class. So thank you for that, and it was a pleasure to watch you work.
You're welcome.
This evening, I had the opportunity to sit in on the Warren County Educational Endowment Grants work. There's going to be an official awarding of the funds at December 10th meeting, but I couldn't help but mention this evening. It will be over $40,000 awarded to the selected recipients this year. That's a huge amount of money that we're able to have in our county to do a lot of good things. Actually, over 100 of our teachers during the history of Warren County Education Endowment have received awards. So that's pretty cool. It just is amazing to see what this group of private citizens that came together have created for our school community, and I do sincerely thank them. So it's really nice. So, and that's the end of my report.
School board members, Mr. Williams.
Really, I'd just like to say it's nice to see the support of this group out here, how close-knit the faculty is at Ressie, and there's some others in there that aren't at Ressie, but it's nice to see. Next thing is, I'm glad the election season's over for everybody. We can finally get down to what we need to do and not have any interruptions. Mr. Rosen?
Yeah, publicly make a thank you to everyone that voted for me. Unopposed is a wonderful way to join politics. Amen. And so, I'm glad it's over, and I found out yesterday that the $4.68 that's left in my self-donated campaign fund, I can't take it back. But my youngest son, Chris, is in computers, and he gave me some advice on that, so I have services rendered for him for computer services. And I felt pretty good about being elected. This has really been an interesting ride so far for me. It's a really complex organization. I'm still learning about it. I was feeling good about it. Ran out to get the mail and had an invitation to my 55th high school reunion. And so, I don't know, I'm a little older than I thought I was. So anyway, and thank you all for coming. We are working on this project. We're working very hard on it.
Thank you. Mr. Wells.
Just a couple of things. Thank you to everybody who came this evening, and thank you for your continued support and your continued information to us. We appreciate it, and we have taken it seriously, and we will take it seriously, and we will see it through. I would like to give you a solid gold assurance that it's going to happen, but I'll give you a platinum. But on Tuesday, I was honored to attend the Veterans Day celebration at Warren County Middle School. I think that was something Mr. Fox allowed to start when you were there, and kudos to Miss Allison Snap, who came up with the idea and has shepherded it every year. It was a great thing, and Mr. Hirsch is gone, but I will echo that the middle school kids were as respectful in this situation as they were in the Under the Sky project. They knew the gravity or the seriousness of what was being honored, and they took it to heart, and it was just heartwarming to see. And to Mr. Johnson and his staff, they did a great job. Thanks to the endowment for their continued support. They've been around a long time. They started on a shoestring with an idea, and they've gotten us to a point where we have, in the surrounding areas, we have one of the stronger endowment groups. Thank you to the Board of Supervisors for so quickly working with our building committee to work on the Ressie issues, and again to just support us as far as our construction, that type of thing. Congratulations, Mr. Rosen, to Mr. Williams, congratulations to Ms. McKeithen, congratulations to you, Mr. McCluskey. You ran a great campaign, and I think we'll see you again sometime. So, but that's what I got to say this evening.
Thank you. I would also like to thank the Board of Supervisors. We have had a very beneficial partnership with them that a lot of divisions do not have. We sit at meetings, governing board meetings with other divisions, and it sounds like horror stories when they start talking about the budget process and their relationship with their boards of supervisors. And we are very, very blessed, very fortunate in Warren County. Personally, today was a very emotional and very busy day, which was probably good because I didn't remember I had to lead this meeting until the drive over tonight. So instead of stressing for 13 hours, I stressed for about 13 minutes. But my day started with Mr. Drescher at 8 o'clock. It was my last Mountain Vista Governor's School Governing Board meeting, and it was very emotional. It's a true sense of loss, but I can't serve on that board because I won't be a board member as of January. And it's the same sense of loss I'm going to feel when I leave this board, but I don't want to get into that tonight because I cried enough today. And then I was over at Warren County High School teaching a poetry seminar, which I love to do, and I will continue to do with Mr. Drescher's blessing and the teacher's agreement. So I thank you all for coming tonight, and I thank you for your comments and your respect that you always show.
How was the observation?
I haven't written it up yet. I'll speak with that teacher later.
Okay. I've got to move on.
Move on.
Yeah. I'm not used to doing this. Action agenda. Presentations by staff. We have a first reading of the 2016-17 school calendar. Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. The calendar before you was modeled after the 2015-2016 calendar with 3 major changes. The addition of 3 professional days, changing from 13 to 16 professional days, the 4 professional days immediately following winter break, and the additional weather days included in the school calendar, potentially making the last school day June 9th, 2017. I would like to thank everyone who sent me a comment regarding the school calendar. I received comments from 32 teachers or instructional assistants regarding the calendar. Most of the comments revolve around the 3 changes mentioned. The proposed calendar has teachers working 196 days. This is an increase from the 2015-16 school year by 3 days. There have been 2 other years in the last 10 years in which there have been 16 professional days scheduled. The other 8 years fluctuated between 10 and 14 days, professional days. The proposed calendar has students coming back August 15th, 2016 and ending June 9th, 2017. The calendar has 1 built-in weather makeup day and 8 makeup weather days. Our current calendar has 2 built-in days and 3 makeup weather days. Virginia's expectation is for schools to be in session 180 days. The intent of Virginia's code that allows for teaching hours to be counted instead of meeting the instructional day requirement was to give school divisions who have severe weather or other emergencies to meet this requirement. Looking at our historical data for the last 10 years, there were 2 years in which we went to school for 180 days. That was the 2008-9 school year and the 2011-12 school year. In 2013-14, we went to school 168 days. The average for the other 7 years was 175 days. At this time in the calendar process, we would like to have a group of teachers meet to participate in a discussion regarding the school calendar. We asked our principals to recommend a representative from each school and an administrator from each of the levels, elementary, middle, and high school, to participate in this discussion. We plan to meet prior to the next school board meeting so we can share the results with the school board members. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
If I just can make a comment?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess, again, I appreciate the feedback from a number of our teaching staff on the school calendar. We did put it out almost a month earlier this year for the purpose of getting feedback. That was purposeful. I don't know if Mrs. Shepherd mentioned this or not, but having done the calendar for many years, it's a daunting task. It was already mentioned you don't please everyone. Sometimes I think you don't please anyone, and that's kind of true. And for many years, the central office administrations created the calendar, we put it out for review, and quite honestly, there's almost every year we tweak it a little bit. We just kind of, some things happen, we need to tweak it. Something we haven't done well, and I'm glad Mrs. Shepherd mentioned this, is we haven't given good explanation as to why we're doing certain things. Why do we start when we start, end when we end, have the professional days when we do, things like that. So that's the purpose of the meeting. I fully anticipate a good, healthy discussion about why we do what we're doing, what the intention of the calendar is in general. It's to instruct our students. And so how do we best do that in the time frame that we have, give staff the breaks that they need, because the job of teaching and learning is a big one. And we want to do all those things well. So we'll do that, as Mrs. Shepherd mentioned, and I fully expect we'll have something that everybody can at least agree to, whether we make everybody completely happy or not. So that's the intention. So.
Okay, thank you very much. You're not going anywhere, right?
No.
The first reading of the VSBA September 2015 policy updates, Mrs. Shepherd?
Right. In September 2015, VSBA submitted 9 policies for consideration by the Warren County School Board. A chart showing all the updated policies has been prepared by staff members noting the proposed changes. An additional 7 policies are presented for review but have no recommended revisions. As this is the first reading of the proposed changes, there will be an opportunity to discuss the changes at the November 24th work session. Final approval of the changes is scheduled for December the 10th. Are there any questions at this time that I can try to answer?
It was, the packet was a little more cut and dry than some of them are. Some of them are,
Yeah, 9.
yeah.
Thick.
Okay, thank you. Number 3, accept school security equipment grant, Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. Warren County Public Schools has applied for and been awarded a grant in the amount of $61,786 to purchase and install school security equipment at A.S. Rhodes Elementary, E. Wilson Morrison Elementary, Leslie Fox Kaiser Elementary, and Ressie Jeffries Elementary. A local match of 25%, $15,447 of the state grant award is required. The local match will come from the technology budget. This is a competitive grant, and this is the second time that we have received this in the last 3 years. The purpose of the grant is to help school divisions purchase and install security equipment in schools to improve and ensure the safety of our students. Our intent is to install additional security cameras at each of the 4 elementary schools included in the grant, and to install door access equipment at A.S. Rhodes, E. Wilson Morrison, and Leslie Fox Kaiser. The reason these schools were chosen when we submitted the grant is because it is based on how old the schools are. So the newer schools aren't as able to get the grant funding as the older schools are.
Are there any questions, Mrs. Shepherd?
Pretty cut and dry.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move approval be given to accept the school security equipment grant in the amount of $61,786, in which a local match of $15,447 is required.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next item, award contract for school security grant equipment, Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. We were awarded a security grant that you just approved. And our intent now is to purchase the equipment that we need in order to spend the money that we were just awarded. This request is recommending to purchase $21,976.80 of door access equipment from LV ComSec, and then $51,745.41 from ABS Technology. This will include 2 outdoor security cameras at A.S. Rhodes. E. Wilson Morrison will get 2 indoor cameras and 2 additional outdoor cameras. Leslie Fox Kaiser, 1 additional indoor, 3 outdoor. Ressie Jeffries, 4 indoor and 2 outdoor.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move approval be given to purchase an access control system from LV Com-SEC in the amount of $21,976.80, and a security camera server, 10 outdoor security cameras, and 7 indoor security cameras from ABS Technology in the amount of $51,745.41.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Presentations by the superintendent.
I don't have any presentations.
Okay. Discussions by the school board. We have some potential November 24th, 2015 agenda items. The first is first 9 weeks report on positive behavioral interventions and supports, our PBIS program. A report by members on the workshops attended at the VSBA annual convention. The 2016-17 school calendar. I don't know if the committee will have met by then. Yeah, the
That's the
committee
plan.
will have met
Yep.
by then. VSBA September 2015 policy updates and the superintendent's entry plan report. Okay? Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, this motion is made that this open public meeting of the Warren County School Board become a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. The school board desires to discuss the following matters in closed session. Section 2.2-3711A2, discussion or consideration of admission or disciplinary matters or any other matters that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record concerning any student in Warren County Public Schools, specifically the request from a family for release from compulsory attendance pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.1-254.b. Be it resolved that the School Board of Warren County does hereby authorize discussion in closed meeting of the matter identified herein.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, Mr. Valentine, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Madam Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.